6 years ago, a game was released that would bring many new people to an ongoing community entitled SCP. Some good, some bad. That game was SCP Containment Breach, and I think it's genuinely one of the best horror games ever made. So why did this game reach such a large audience, and why do I think it never got enough credit for just how good it is? Let's take a look. In early 2012, one of the up-and-coming Let's Players, which quickly rose to become the largest channel on YouTube, I don't think I have to say any names, played an incredibly early and outdated version of SCP Containment Breach. This version being almost unrecognizable from the recent versions. It lacked heavily in the graphical and animation department, and was noticeably unfinished in other terms like lighting and gameplay features. While these were deal breakers for many people years ago, especially the younger audience of Let's Players at the time, it still raised much attention to the SCP community. Many of the people who moved on to the community would soon forget the small game and flock to other giant horror titles that Let's Players played. Due to the unfinished state of SCP Containment Breach at the time, it wasn't well received even by many of the people who brought it to popularity, so it was left forgotten, though the developers continued work on the small project. By mid-2015, after tons of huge updates, the game was in a nearly complete state. Some larger influencers tried the updated game out, though it was too late. Many of the larger people who played the game didn't understand the mechanics of the game and how to avoid the SCPs, and most other people just brushed it off as another Let's Player game. So once again, the game would be left somewhat forgotten. By now, the game is fully finished and has had tons of new content introduced, but the game has been overshadowed by other huge games like Five Nights at Freddy's. But I'm not here to discuss the rise and fall of SCP Containment Breach. I'm here to discuss just how good of a fucking game it actually is. You started out as a prisoner in a top-secret containment facility. You're a Class D, one of many test subjects for the horrible experiments conducted by the scientists of the facility. The experiments are done on anomalous beings found throughout the world, and Class D are the guinea pigs for their experiments. The Class D are death row inmates that are signed into the program voluntarily, in offer of having their crimes excused after 30 days of work. As a Class D, you're escorted by an armed guard to the containment cell that you'll be working in. You're instructed to enter the cell, and you see your first SCP. One of the most well-known SCP is almost single-handedly because of Containment Breach. SCP-173, who will snap the necks of anyone not making direct eye contact with it. When suddenly, the door control begins malfunctioning and the power goes out, turning off the lights. SCP-173 immediately snaps the necks of the two accompanying D-Class, then kills the guard overseeing the procedure. This starts the game off with a bang, and you're off on the course of 1,000,000 deaths. Not only is this one of the scariest horror games I've ever played, it's one of the hardest. The reason why the game is so fucking scary is due to the atmosphere of the facility. You can see the SCPs wreak havoc, and much as other facility personnel are killed. The ambience and quietness of the facility leaves room in your head to calm down, yet also absolutely dread your next encounter with one of the SCPs. The voice acting is also incredible, with encounters such as overhearing a suicidal facility guard, pleading that God forgives him of his wrongdoings and for everything to just turn out alright right before shooting himself.
The hell was that? Oh no.
The cries of pain of the victim of SCP-106's femur breaker.
Let me go.
and the announcements made by the facility personnel and Nine-Tailed Fox.
Mobile Task Force Unit Epsilon 11, designated Nine-Tailed Fox, has entered the facility. All remaining survivors are advised to stay in the evacuation shelter or any other safe area until the unit has secured the facility. We'll start escorting personnel out when the escaped SCPs have been recontained.
Which really cement in your mind and remind you of just how horrible things really have become in the facility. The craziest thing in the game, and one of the biggest innovations, is how the game plays out. In Containment Breach, you have absolutely no power at all. You're not the guy with the gun. The best comparison I can make is, imagine Half-Life, except you're not the guy with the armored suit and an entire arsenal in their pocket. You're simply one of the unarmed scientists who is just trying to escape based purely off of their wits. You are the Class D with absolutely no power, and you must escape from this calm and quiet facility that is full of nearly invincible monsters that intend to kill you, and armed Nine-Tailed Fox personnel that are sent in with the sole intent to recontain the SCPs and eliminate the Class D personnel on site. Think of the SCPs as aliens, and the Nine-Tailed Fox as me. So, there are 3 different areas that you must tread through. In light containment, you must escape from SCP-173, the SCP you face in the beginning, SCP-106, the pants-shittingly terrifying-looking SCP-939, which are actually multiple different creatures that patrol the hallways of several areas beneath light containment, and SCP-049, which you encounter before doing one of the final tasks you must complete to make it out of light containment. Not only must you deal with these SCPs, but you also must find your way through the maze-like halls of light containment, and complete several different tasks to find your way out. In heavy containment, you're introduced to SCP-096, which is a lanky creature with a somewhat humanoid look, who will immediately go into a fit of rage if eye contact is made, and charge at you at incredible speeds and rip you apart. SCP-106 follows you down, and you also meet with SCP-1048, which is a cute teddy bear with the intent to bring your guard down, then kill you. The way out of heavy containment is fairly similar to light containment, maze-like, and also requires several tasks to be completed to make it out. Finally, you make it to the entrance zone. This is where you must use your skills to avoid the Nine-Tailed Fox, which by far have some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in a video game.
Come on out. You're gonna die anyway. There you are. You, stop! Class D has been terminated.
The Nine-Tailed Fox will attempt several different things. They'll attempt to contain SCPs, they will attempt to activate a nuclear device in the facility which is kept only to be activated in the worst of incidents, in which the complete destruction of the facility and anything in it would be completely necessary. The Nine-Tailed Fox will attempt to kill you, in which you must use stealth and avoidance tactics to not be killed by them. They'll attempt to eliminate SCP-106 as you reach the surface, providing you an excellent opportunity to escape while they're distracted. These attempts really remind you that there's more going on than just you. You're not the center of attention. Once again, you're not the one who's in power here. There are several different ways the ending of the game can play out. The 2 ways that the game ends upon escaping through Gate A end in 1, SCP-106 breaching the facility and distracting the Nine-Tailed Fox for long enough for you to move past them, but you're captured soon after. 2 ends after you've eliminated SCP-106 using the Femur Breaker, not allowing for you to go past the distracted Nine-Tailed Fox, though they still only capture you. The reason why I chose Containment Breach for this special is because it's legitimately the only horror game that's ever actually creeped me out enough to make me pause the game to take a breather, and truly the only horror game that has actually scared me without relying on cheap jump scare tactics. The absolute horror of what is going on, and the atmosphere given by that is what scared me so much. Those somber moments you get when everything in the facility is completely quiet, where you're left just wondering if you're the only one who is still there, being perpetually tortured by the mere existence of these monsters. You're stuck in hell, and you have to find a way to get out of it using only your wits. This game truly is Half-Life if it were a horror game. It takes itself just as seriously as Half-Life does, and pulls it off despite being such an unbelievable situation. It even has a similar sequence of events to Half-Life. The experiment gone wrong, leading to the horrors of the world spilling out. The military entering in an effort to contain the horrors, shooting anyone they deem to know too much. Yet it differentiates itself enough to be completely different in gameplay and character. I think SCP Containment Breach is one of the best horror games ever made, and the sad truth is, many people look back on it as if it were just another one of those games that Let's Players played years ago. They look at it as if it were just another one of those Five Nights at Freddy's that doesn't deserve much credit. Well, I'm here to give it the credit that it deserves. I advise that you actually download the game. It's free and genuinely is one of the few games to spook me ever. And for that I'm repaying with this video for just how well crafted and made the game is.